Hello Tubesters, it's Gav and welcome to another one of my videos. Today we've got the first instalment on the Napoleonic Perry 28mm French line infantry. Yeah, might have got that a bit mixed up. But anyway, yeah, we're looking at the plastic 28mm Perry French line infantry. I've done 6, I know, don't get your hopes up. I've got another 6 just started last night. Very late last night, but we've got some trout. I'm looking at them down here now, and I've got the 3 base and 3 highlights on the trousers. But they're not the ones we're looking at today. We're going to be looking at these little fellas. They're painted as the 3rd company, so that's the Aurora orange. If you don't know, to my Maras that don't do this type of stuff, the French line infantry would have different pom-pom colours for the different companies. So the Aurora, as they call it, which is like an orange, is the 3rd company. I only picked that one because I'm doing Empress Dragoons, and I happen to have I've mixed up some Aurora paint, orange paint, and they got it. They became the 3rd company. Any problems? Not really. I'd left at least 2 mould lines on, I'll confess to that, and I ain't taking them off now. It's too late. I've tried to paint them in as creases. You can get away with that sometimes, as I've said to you guys before, on metal or plastic sometimes. If you actually, it's almost highlighting the mould line. Obviously a lot of mould lines will go straight down, straight along. You know, it's not always easy to try and at least get them to look part of the painting figure. But these I just missed, to be honest with you, and I'm not gonna, as I say, strip them down just to remove them. So there is 2 on there. It is what it is. So yeah, apart from that, again, my usual acrylic paints. So the blue is the Andrea box set. So I've got one of my painting drawers. That's what I use. I get occasionally asked what blue do I use. It's that blue set. Sometimes I'll use it as is, as in, you know, go from one bottle, because they thoughtfully give you they number each bottle, so you go that bottle, that bottle, that bottle, and that'll give you supposedly this. I say supposedly, I don't mean that in any derogatory sense to Andrea. I just mean, I presume that's how they got to that. I also use the Andrea red set. I'm not going to get that out now. Same type of box, different. It's a Napoleonic figure on the front. So the red, not that there's a lot on it here, but I use the red for that. So blue and red is Andrea. In case anybody asks me, trouser colours, the 2nd company, which I haven't decided who it's going to be yet, I've actually used a darker green. Sorry if you can hear I do like my aircraft. It's not a military one though. If you hear anything flying over, I've got windows open. It's actually warm in the UK today. Sorry guys, I just thought you're going to ask, so I'll quickly shout out the colour. Right, I'll just do them. We'll be here all day, won't we? Right, for these guys here, the base coat was RAF Sky, and that's a next generation colour. So the base coat on the whites that you'll see is on the trousers, is that, and then it gets mixed in different ratios, which I won't go into. You just find that out for yourselves. As I say, with figure painting, the same in modelling, there is no shortcuts. I can say to you guys, this is what I used, but whether you get the same, you could get a hell of a lot better than me. You know, I can give you a paint recipe, but how yours will turn out compared to mine might be completely different. Same with modelling. You just got to put the hard yards in. You know, there's no magic getting from A to B extra quick, no matter what these these guys will tell you on YouTube. I don't believe that. I believe you get in there, you get in the trenches, and you just paint and you paint and you paint. You experiment. I've experimented on this one because the guys that I'm doing for this company have got a darker base. I've actually gone for German grey-green primer. Again, another air range from AK Next Generation. I just wanted to see what it would look like being slightly darker. I think it probably is a bit too dark, but we'll see. So anyway, those whites trousers are with the RAF Sky, and it's a Next Generation, 3rd generation AK acrylic paint from their air range, so their aircraft range more or less. I've then mixed in, what have you mixed in, Gav? I've mixed in silver grey, which is Vallejo colour. I've then mixed in German tank crew white, a Panzer Aces colour from Vallejo again, and I've just gone up doing that, keeping it a cooler white. That's what I was after. I've then altered it a low because I've put different. I wouldn't. It's not glaze. It's just paint washes really of different browns. I just had on the palette at the time that I've used for dirtying them up slightly. So that's what I'm saying. You can get a paint recipe off somebody, but how they've interpreted it and how you interpret it can be two different things. The brown, the ochre type colour trousers were, funnily enough, ochre, but first of all on a base of, again, 3rd generation orange tan, and that's from their figure painting range. So that's orange tan from AK. Again, yes, different colours of bottles might change slightly, but you could do that with any paint that you happen to have. You don't have necessarily happen to buy the paint that I've shouted out. That you can make most paints work for you. I'm not a big fan of the Vallejo blues and reds. I find them quite shiny. Now, yes, I know that we're going to put a matte varnish over them, but I just find them too shiny for me. I started off with them, and I've still got them dusted up on my paint rack here, and there's a couple that I do, well, normally a couple, probably about 3 or 4, like the Luftwaffe blue I use a lot. I've told you guys before, when I paint for a highlight, I highlight that a lot on my blacks. But anyway, going back to the trousers, which you'll see in a minute. So the ochre trousers you'll see are base layer of that, which is the orange tan, then orange tan and ochre. I don't measure out anything, I just mix it. So again, me telling you what I've used would be no good to you whatsoever, as in ratios. So, but that's the two that I used. Then I went up to ochre, and then I believe, because I never write anything down, why would I? Make my life easier. I use light stone, again another AK 3rd generation. That's always nice to use on top of that. And very occasionally I might go a bit lighter. I'm just trying to find, I use new wood, I believe, or old wood, base wood. It's another AK range, and I've got so many paints on the go at the moment. No, I didn't use that. It might have been a buff colour. I might have put a buff of some type in just to lighten it up one last time, but I may not have. I don't write anything down. Because also the reason I don't write anything down is not so much laziness. I might have a part to play in it, but it's more the fact I like my soldiers to be individual. And as we all know, as we keep, and I've said it a million times over, uniforms, I've worn uniforms, and nobody's uniform is the same hue, because the way it's been washed, the dyes of that particular batch, people are wearing different batches. You get what I'm saying. So I prefer to be slight differences. Like these guys, I'm not overly fussed if this second company, if it looks massively different, you know, in whites. I might even leave a couple like this in the darker colours, because they also had these as a fabric, I believe. But I am obviously going to white if possible. What I try and do, even on a uniform that's a unit that looks fairly shabby, in my personal opinion, you need something to tie that unit together. So the shako covers, in this unit of 6 here, I've got only one with the light oil skin, you know, the tan, whatever you want to call it, oil skin that they also use. I've only got one of those, and the rest are black, because all that black, whether it's black oil skin covers on the shakos or the shakos themselves, that's hats. Anybody that's not doesn't know what I'm on about. They're all black. So when you look at it, that ties that unit in. You can have you want some divergence to show it's a, you know, fairly shabby unit, but you want something to tie it in. Also, the white trousers. If you know, obviously they were supposed to be wearing white trousers, so doesn't matter what white trousers. As I keep, you know, I don't care what anybody says. You can paint cold white, warm white, mucky white. You will guarantee that those white linen trousers will be, or cotton trousers, whatever they call them, will be different hues. It's just common sense, you know. So don't have anybody wagging their finger at you saying, "Oh, you've got a wrong cut," you know. Never seen white like that before. Yeah, right. Yeah, the white again ties the unit in. So there's a more majority of white trousers than there are ochre. You know, unless you're going to you could have an ochre company. You know, they could have had an issue of ochre trousers. You know, that you don't have to have all white trousers. That particular company might have been absolutely threadbare, you know, walking around with fig leaves on, and the CEO or the company commanders managed to find themselves a batch of ochre trousers, especially the French, because they lived off the land. That whatever country they invaded, everything got harvested. So yeah, you know, you go with how you feel it. I never do a huge amount to the blue. I never do with the jackets. I don't know why. I think I do enough. If I do enough with the trousers, I try and change the jackets with something like a long service chevron or a corporal or a sergeant. You know, things like that. I'll add to the jacket mix. I will throw, like the one guy's got, I put some dirt on his elbows. Well, I'm doing all this, we haven't seen him yet. But I just want to show you my thought process is how I paint figures. But as I say, you can, when it all comes to push and shove, you just need to pick a paintbrush up and have a go. You know, there aren't any shortcuts. You know, yeah, there is shortcuts in the sense people put washes on and inks and all that type of stuff. Yeah, they are shortcuts. But all I'm saying is, if you want to follow a particular painter, if you build models, if you want to, you know, I've got a mate called Old Tom. Those of you that don't know the modelling that I follow, right? Old Tom, Mr. Rambler 69 channel, go check him out. He is an absolute top skilled, peerless builder of models. He doesn't really do models. He does a few egg planes, and he has done a couple of smaller aircraft now. But all of us that know him as a top skilled car modeller. I would have loved to. I don't dedicate anywhere near enough time. I would love to do stuff like Tom does. But unless I'm going to put the time and the effort in continuously building cars, I'm not going to be, unless I'm just absolutely blessed with talent, it's not going to happen unless I put the time in. And even then, I'm not Old Tom, so there might always be a gap. Tom might just be a brilliant car modeller, and nobody will ever be able to touch him. Fair dues. So if you're following my painting, and it's my style you like, and that sounds really big-headed, and I don't mean it to be, because there are loads of other people. I don't have a style really, to be honest with you. I just, as I say, because I mix it up so much, and I'm always experimenting. So I don't stand still with my painting. I like to try different stuff. I've always said I'm not a fan of washes. I'm not. Inks have their place, definitely in shading and stuff, but I prefer. When I'm doing a Napoleonic unit, there's time constraints, so I would use an ink as some form of tone, shifting the tone of the figure. So I might do it one day, actually do a unit in that form, but it's not something I do more like that. Stall again at the moment. My figure of Wolverine, that type of figure, or my bust, I would put inks on if I wanted to. But I'm not a fan of inks and washes in the sense of shortcuts. That is not having a go at anybody that does it. This is me, and I've got my own opinion, and I just personally, I get more enjoyment painting how I paint. It's the enjoyment I get out of it. There's other people that will put, you know, different washes on, different inks on, because that's their enjoyment, and they're absolutely entitled to that. So, but what I'm saying is, if you're going, if you say, right, I like how Gav's painting, I'm going to paint it, you know, see if I can get them looking roughly like that. It just takes time, and it takes, you know, as I say, I'm more than happy to say, yeah, I use this colour, this colour. I believe people, this is a community, and as I keep saying, I'm in painting figures, whether they're war games figures, display figures. I'm in model building. I'm not as good model builder, definitely not, but I enjoy it. But I sincerely believe that you should be there sharing what you know if somebody wants to know it. You know, don't get me wrong, I'm a commercial painter as well, so you know there's a cut off. You know, I'm not going to school somebody. You know, but yeah, I believe if you know, that's why I said that white. That's how I've never used that white. I just was looking through my range, and I thought I want to do a colder white, but I don't want to use grey because I've used that on the cross belts. You know, traditional sky grey, silver grey, and work up that way, which you can do for a cold white. I just wanted to try something a bit different with that slight greeny tinge to it, because it makes in my opinion, it makes the trousers look, they've got like a grimy look to them without ever going near yes, I've grimed the bottoms up with brown and that, but that shows that they've been wading through puddles and streams and whatever, you know, marshy ground, muddy up ground after 10,000 blokes has walked through it. These, using something like that colour, and I'll do a close-up on the colour in a minute, that will give you that. I'm looking at them now, and from a foot or so away, they've got that grimy look to them, and that is exactly what I was looking for. I decided to take the time hit because I'm not, these are just done for 20 minutes, half an hour at the dead of night. I just decided to experiment with going a bit darker because I want to use this colour on other units. So I just thought, let's see what it's like with a darker colour, and then I'll take the hit. I might have to completely paint them over again, or I'll just take me a bit longer to build them up, because obviously the darker you get, the more contrast, you know, the harder it's going to be for me to with white anyway, to obviously lighten them up. Anyway, it wasn't going to be a ramble, it was just going to be a show and tell over 6 figures. But there we go. I should write this down like some Zen thought process. Right, let's get the reading bins on, and let's go down to the bench and take a look. Oh, by the way, Tubesters, what was I going to say, by the way? Oh yeah, I'm doing the commission. Obviously this isn't part of the commission, this is obviously a unit I'll paint up for extra income and sell on. So you will be seeing, I will be showing the Empress Dragoons. It's just that I realised I'd actually done the banding on the muskets. I put a base, that's because that client likes that non-metallic metal, and I'd done a base on the banding of the muskets. It's hardly noticeable, but I hadn't actually put the last 2 or 3 highlights on to bring it up. So we'll wait for a separate video for that. I've got 6 completed apart from that. No, I haven't. I've got 4 completed, and 4 where the horses are painted up, and base coats on jackets and boots and stuff like that. Anyway, so just before we start, that's the colour for the base I used. But make sure, as I say, don't put that down and then, well, it's up to you obviously, but I wouldn't go jumping straight up to your next colour. Mix your next colour in. That's how I always get my transitions. I mix up, and sometimes I might have to put and dab more colour in before you get to the next colour, if that makes sense. So if you're putting say Deck tan, it might have been deck tan I put in next on this. Deck tan would go, I'd put like 50-50, and then I put that on the figure with this sky grey. So sky grey base, deck tan and sky grey 50-50. But I may have then decided, no, I don't want to go to the next transition, which would be deck tan by itself. I'll just add a bit more deck tan in before I go to solid deck tan, and then I go to the next one, deck tan, which will be then silver grey. You get my drift. So anyway, but that's what it looks as a base. Bearing in mind, when paint dries, it tends to dry slightly darker. I've left the eyes out on this. I'm not painting eyes in on these because they're so recessed. I just thought, you know what, I'm happy. As I say, eyes on figures, in my opinion, on this, I do them all the time. It's very rare that I don't put eyes in. I just think that eyes are more for photographs than they are for a finished unit, and these, I just don't think that they're so small, the eyes. It's not really, I believe Perry's probably done it so that guys don't have to faff around with eyes. They've got the recesses, they look nice. They are really nice faces. So this guy's, as I say, he's had his elbows muddied up a bit. The only thing I wish I'd have done different, and I might well do it on another unit if I saw the same thing, was I'd get my scalpel out and carve these out, because there's too much obviously turn back there in the moulding process. They've just gone you know, and that's way too deep. So I could have done with cutting that out, but again, there's a cut off really. They're not for me. I'll just be putting up for sale, so there's a cut off on how much you do. But I would suggest that if they were your figures. I just put the brass end on a couple of the less shabby cartridge boxes. I wanted to make it look as if the unit's been raised, and literally, like a lot of the cartridge boxes, they're the ones that have gone back for recycling, say, but they never got a chance to be recycled. And that's a fairly decent looking cartridge box. Rough little ends on the thing for Napoleon, and not a crown, it's just a little blob of paint. Again, there's a cut off to how much I do. So that's our first guy. So this guy, we've given him corporal stripes. Now I've tried to put 55 on there and it looks an absolute mess, so I may well either abandon putting, sometimes I've done it in the past, I write the regimental numbers on and put them in a wreath, and that just went pear-shaped. It's not particularly distinct. I mean, it wouldn't really matter, to be honest with you, when it's back there, you'll notice it's green, and you'll know that the regimental number's been written on the front. And so it's not really that bad, but I might readdress those. Shabby cartridge box. Highlighted the leathers peeling away off the top, so I've highlighted it. Really nice. I said to you guys, there's a lot of nice little touches on these guys. Again, made the figures shine. If you want to make your figures faces shine a bit more, you can keep your own drawer opening. Where are we? I've been using a lot of AK paints, as you know. I've been going over to them more and more. So, but flat flesh from Vallejo, because I've still got a fair bit left, but I add, and you've got to really add a tiny bit, because as you can see this colour now, yellow green. Skin normally has a greenish hue in it. If you've been down the pub and had a curry, it might have a lot more green in it, but the greenish hue, and it gives you a shiny, like a glow to your highlights like that. But again, experiment and put a tiny amount in first and see how it looks to you. And then obviously I've used different reds. I'll often use a red that I've used on the palette already. sometimes not. I think that was carmine red I'd put under there, under his cheeks. I left off putting the 55 on this guy because I just thought, even with the teeny tiny brush, it's going to look a tiny bit messy. So gave him a bit of a shadow. Could have probably done a bit more on him, but I was happy with that. Gave him a little, obviously cut some old jacket material up. I blew up the, and when I say blew up, I don't mean bang, as in I blew up the, so the colour blue. The gaiters, I tend to do that on my own figures anyway. Again, tatty cartridge box. It's got a spot of paint there, I don't need to paint it over. So that's 3. I like that one as well, with the flaps of the shako cover down. And as I say, you get lots of different canteens to go with. Photographs at the end as always. I don't know how good they're going to be. As I say, I'll just take them on my video camera, so stills. That'll give you the idea. The only thing I probably could do with doing with this guy is I could do with adding some shadows, which I probably will do, into the folds of the jacket there. Just see the collar of his jacket. I know they say, oh, that they're wearing greatcoats a lot because the young conscripts and even the old age guys that they've dragged in as well, they didn't have enough uniforms for them, like jackets particularly, so they were issuing them greatcoats in lieu of a jacket. But I just thought something's been moulded there, so I painted it as the jacket. But yeah, I think a bit more darker shadow where the trouser meets the jacket would probably be good. Sorry, the camera wants to focus on the ones in the back. I've done a mixture. Perry's, by the way, show the white tapes and that, and I thought that, I've seen more guard units with those than anything, so I tend to do the line units with brown tape. This is brown bits here, and some I've given the cow skin, whatever you want to call it, with the white on. Some I haven't. What I tend to do is if I'm going to do this type of mix of white and brown cow skin, I prefer it on backpacks that haven't got a lot of stuff hanging off them, because you've then got a lot more white tape and it tends to start merging in with each other, even though I've done warm white colours on these and cold whites on the straps, because all the strapping on here is just your standard sky grey, moving up through again silver grey and things like that. I've then gone over at the end of the paint job when I've been mucking up the boots and just put some lighter colours in some of the shadow areas and wear areas, just to show a bit more muck on the musket slings and things like that. So that one, and then our last one. Again, you can see there, right, it don't look good really, does it? I might actually repaint that because that looks a right mess. You see, if you put white, if you try to squeeze the white of the backpacks in with the brown colour, with all this tape and all the things going on, I always think it detracts a bit, so I tend to leave those brown. These are a bit harder to muck up at the base, only because of the colour of I didn't want to suddenly go into really dark brown, not against the other colours I've used on the trousers of the other guys. And there we go. Yeah, that's a right mess in it. We might have to repaint that one. In fact, I think that might have been repainted once already. So guys, thanks a lot. I'm sorry if I've wasted your time a bit waffling on. It's one of my videos, and you know what I do. I'm not. That's what I do. I talk a lot, but it's just. I just think it's interesting for people that are either starting out painting. You know, you're into wargaming. As I say, I stopped wargaming. That's not to say I haven't got some armies, small armies. And it's not to say I wouldn't use them again. I say that Indian Mutiny project, I might well game those when they're all done, but that's a long way away yet. And I've got a 10mm army, I've got Napoleonic sailing ships, you know, and a couple of other bits and pieces. Oh, my Wild West figures, which that's definitely a thing that's going to go ahead at some stage, so that will be gamed. But yeah, or Old West figures. But you know, I paint these. If I'm not painting them for people, for income, I get the enjoyment of painting them and then selling them as income. And I do put more into these. It sounds say more because I've got the time to put more into these. You know, there's only so much you can do for a price. Whereas these guys, I just take the hit that I'm putting a lot more. I'm putting a lot more in, and I won't get monetary wise. I get a lot for the time that's spent on it, but it's just enjoy. You can't stop yourself, you know. It's just enjoy. I just enjoy doing it. But I just think, you know, if you're starting, or if you want to, you know, not progress with your painting, but you know what I mean. If you want to change what you're doing around, it's handy to hear somebody else's, how they go about stuff and what they think of stuff, without being too lecturing. Was I too lecturing? I might have been. Didn't wag my finger though. Anyway, look after yourselves. Coming up, we've got the promised model kit build that I've been working on in the background. It's just been a bit slower than I would have thought, but it's almost there now. We'll have a video up over the weekend. We'll have a Napoleonic Empress Dragoons 28mm for the commission. You'll see those probably over the weekend, if not Monday. And we'll have another six. I'll say every company, every 6 figures, I'll just stick a video up, because I like making videos and I like painting. Good combination. So that's that. Have I got anything else? I'm going to start on the Kawanishi flying boat, probably tonight or tomorrow night, something like that. And then we've got, I've been raring to go on the USS Lexington in 1:700 scale. I'm going to be getting in on that one now in the next week or so. Had a book come the other day because I needed some other pictures for the hull plating and things like that. So that's all being researched at the moment, and we start that hopefully in a week or so's time. And of course, the base of Wolverine is going ahead, just a few brush strokes at a time, so it will get to us. The Badger, where is the Badger? The Badger's desperately waiting for the next coat of paint on. Yeah, and we should have the Mutiny figures at least based. I'm about to varnish them this afternoon along with some Napoleonic figures for the client. So yeah, that'll be based, and we'll have a look at them. Right, that's it. Look after yourselves. Many thanks again for the kind words and the likes and things like that, and I really do appreciate it. Cheers guys.